Welcome to Let's Talk Games. I'll be your host this week. My name is Daniel. On my, my right, that's Chunt.
It me, hi.
And Jamie to finish off the thruple.
Thruple. Someone's been
Yeah.
watching Netflix.
Yeah, lots of Netflix.
Netflix.
Yeah. All right, so this week on episode, was it 5, 6? Someone help me here. Number six. On episode 6, we are going to talk about a little bit of the past, a little bit of the present, and a little bit of the future. To start off, we're going to talk about the past. This is probably one of those episodes where you're going to just get to know us a little bit more and about our gaming habits. And we want to talk about the games that made us fall in love with gaming. I'll kick off with this one. So I play games. I started playing them pretty religiously from about 2002. But even when I was looking through games of like each year, I was like, well, I've played these games, but apart from say like GTA 3, I remember playing a lot of that. But they were all just ones I just popped into a little bit. But I don't think it was until 2008, and it was the combination of, because I think there was a month between each of them, which was Grand Theft Auto 4, and then that really made me love gaming was Metal Gear Solid 4. I'd never played a Metal Gear Solid game before, ever. But I just kept seeing all these great reviews for Metal Gear Solid 4. I'm like, well, I'm sitting around here not doing anything at the moment. I need to play this game. And I played it, and I just loved it. I ate it all up. At the time, there was no way I was going to be able to play the other Metal Gear Solid games. So I just went and read about the whole Metal Gear Solid series. And then I played Metal Gear Solid 4 again afterwards, knowing who all the characters were at the time. And it just showed games. That game just showed off games to me in a whole different way than I had experienced them before. One, because the cutscenes were 20 minutes long, but also because I was just like, they're just building for the fourth game. It felt like they were building this whole new world, with all these weird and interesting characters. And then yeah, I just fell in love with it. Did you guys play the Metal Gear Solid 4? Oh, you wouldn't have.
I haven't, no.
No.
Like
I
I know about it, and I know how infamous that series is.
5 was my first one.
What was that?
5 was my first Metal Gear.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So, and then quintessentially, I played 5 as well and loved 5 as well. But 4, yeah, 4 just, even there were moments where it was clear that it was fan moment to have, and I knew that's what was happening, and I was appreciating it even though I didn't know what the hell that moment was relating to. Like there's certain moments, there's crawling through the microwave, and the final battle, there's going back to Shadow Moses and
crawling through a microwave.
Yeah, if you look it up on YouTube, essentially, it's just a moment in the game where you need to get to this point to fight Liquid, and to get there, because you have all these nano machines in you. The only way to go through it is this huge server, right? That's this just huge server that's just extremely hot, and when you go into hot areas, it kills the nano machines in your body. So you essentially just have to go, and you start by running, and then you start jogging, then you start then you fall, and then you're crawling, and then you're literally on your hands and your arms and your stomach, and you're just pulling yourself in, and the whole time you're just pressing X. And it's just, you have to press even it just goes faster and faster, and you're probably pressing it repeatedly for 3 minutes straight with no break, and so you just start to get exhausted. So you start feeling as exhausted as he is on screen trying to get through this
Very
thing.
immersive experience, Dan.
Yeah, who knew by pressing a button so many times? Yeah, and
Very
there
Kojima.
was so that's obviously a massive moment stands out. But even when there's a part where you go to Shadow Moses for this part of the story, and it starts by you playing through the first Metal Gear, like a little section of the first Metal Gear, and then he
That's
kind of
cool.
wakes up, and then you're dropped into this HD version of it, and you're like, whoa, this looks so cool, because and you can follow the exact same path as you did when you're playing it in the dream sequence. There's just heaps and heaps of moments, and cool, and it was like ridiculously cool action in that game. Yeah, so that I think that's that, and then in combination with Grand Theft Auto 4, which I think came out a month before it. Those two games just really, really made me go, I'm going to play all these games. I'm going to go to university and learn how to make games, all that stuff. That's what made me fall in love with it.
Wow, far out. It'll get solid. I never really kind of took to it. Hey, it's just that Kojima wackiness. I just couldn't. I guess I couldn't grasp or appreciate. I understand it's a massive series though, but Grand Theft Auto 4. That was the Russian dude. Hey, coming to New York.
Nico Bellic.
Nico or whatever. Yeah, that's right. I missed that one. I went straight from San Andreas to 5. So
They would have felt very similar then.
oh yeah, pretty much. Just massively improved since San Andreas. It's a bit of a jank game, but I really enjoyed San Andreas. But
well, 4 is actually pretty dark. Grand Theft Auto 4.
yeah, I heard that. That's a bit of a darker one or more serious tone or whatever. But oh, that's cool. Wow, 2002, man. I was just wrapping up grade 12 around that time. But cool. Well, I guess since I'm like halfway through talking, I may as well just go
Go
on
for
the next one. So I stem from the age of Mega Drive and Nintendo Entertainment System. So I remember before I think we even had our own home console. There was a kid we used to live nearby. He had I didn't know what it was at the time, but it was a Nintendo Entertainment System, a NES, and there was like Maniac Mansion and some, I think it was Track and Field or something like that, and the Excite Bike and all that shit. But I think what really hit me was Mario at the time. Like it's one of those the old tales, and the first game I ever played was Mario, but it wasn't the first game I ever played. But I remember that game in particular. When they say that Mario took the imagination of kids on gaming, like what games could be. It's kind of true, because I remember that one being my first like holy shit kind of memory of what is this game, where like it was simple at the time. Obviously, well, looking back, it's simple, but at the time I remember going, wow, this is really cool. And I wasn't even playing it. Like I was very young at the time. I don't even think I would have been 5 or something, or about 4 or 5 at the time. But I remember that game, and ever since I remember thinking as a kid, I want to go back to their place to play that game, whatever it was. And we didn't know them too well, but I did go over a couple of times, and just to see the game. And when I finally got around to playing it when I was older, by myself, remember what that game was. It really did kind of set that, oh my god, I want to play games kind of thought in my head. And then we eventually got the Mega Drive for Christmas one year, and we had Altered Beast and Fantasia, and that's what really kind of set it off for us, or my brother and I at least, for getting in the video games as a standard thing at home. So I know it's a bit of a generic kind of story of many people around our age, or my age at least, of saying, "Oh yeah, Super Mario Brothers, that was it, that was the game." Like it wasn't the game that kind of got me in love with games, so to speak, but it was the game that kind of awoken something in me to appreciate it, even as a young kid. But I think my main holy crap, I love video games game would be a toss up between Altered Beast or Sonic the Hedgehog, like another generic thing. But man, when Sonic the Hedgehog, when we got that at home, far out, that was like next level shit. Like we just loved it, man. Like it drove mum up the wall. Like the theme song and the music in the game. Like she'll even say it to this day of like, oh my god, like if she hears it like from my phone or when I used to have it as a ringtone and when I was still living at home and every time I get a phone call or whatever, it'd be like the startup theme for the first Sonic the Hedgehog or whatever, or Green Hill Zone. And you could hear it in the other room going, oh no. Because we used to play that so much, like so much to drive right up the wall. But yeah, I know it's two generic gaming mascots, but they're still around, and that it says something. But yeah, I think that's my earliest memory of going, fuck, I love games.
I think mine probably follows a similar tangent to you, to be honest, mate. The whole, you know, you playing with friends and that kind of being a kid and people all talking about a specific type of game. But I think I always tout Ocarina of Time as being the game that was like, wow, I love video games. I want to play video games. But I think the one that had that effect of, look, no, I need to be part of this, like that, you know, the kind of thing that your parents could confiscate from you if you were being a dick. That, right, that's it. You're not playing that tonight, or you know, taking it. It would have been Pokemon. But I remember back to like first gen Pokemon games. You know, everyone in the playground, like with their Game Boys, playing Pokemon. You know, you go around to each other's houses, having link cables to trade like cloned versions of Mew and all kinds of crazy shit like that. Like that to me just embodies what video games were and the social aspect of it. So yeah, I think it's probably twofold on that side. Obviously, that's the side that's like, I want to be part of this. This is a thing that everybody does and we can talk about and you can gather by, you know, it's the water cooler chat, right? You can all gather and talk about, oh, what did you do last night? Oh, I caught this. And it's like, you know, before our brains could kind of comprehend that there was only a certain amount of things you could do in that game. Like now I go to a Pokemon game and go, right, I can only catch this thing in this route or here or there. But as a kid, that wonderment of, I wonder what I'm going to run into tonight. Like, you know, you're not looking through guides. We didn't have the internet. It's just like this little world in this Game Boy was your thing. And I think The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time for me fell into a very similar vein of, you know, the wonderment and I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know where I'm going, I don't know what I'm trying to achieve, but I'm enjoying doing it. And I didn't actually complete Ocarina of Time until I think I was 16 years old. So I got stuck on the Nintendo 64 and just eventually gave up. And then, do you remember when the GameCube came out and it had you could get the Mario Kart Double Dash version? And that came with like Legend of Zelda remakes with it. And they kind of ported and upscaled Ocarina of Time just for free with it. So I started it again there and I was like, yeah, I know all this, I've been here. Got back to the point where I was stuck and I was like, right, I'm of more sound mind now. I've been playing video games for a while. I'm going to go out and I'm going to complete this. But I know it's kind of cheating because it's like, oh, what game made you kind of fall there? But I think for me it was more of an era that, as you said, the Nintendo 64 era with The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, you know, in the playground, like speaking with other kids that were playing and being like, you know, how did you beat that? Where did you go to? How did you achieve it? And then Pokemon for the same reason, like, oh my god, I beat this gym leader, or I beat the Elite Four, or all my Pokemon are level 100 now. Like, do you know what I mean? It was that kind of thing that I don't think you can ever take that away from someone. That's the memory. It's not a specific game. It's that kind of wonderment of being a kid. And I still get it at times now. I mean, a few weeks ago spoke about Breath of the Wild, you know, and our favorite games from this last generation, and it invoked that exact same thing where it was like talking to other people. And Chunt, you were playing, weren't you? Playing Breath of the Wild when it came out, and it's like talking to other people that were playing, like where you've got up to, how you've tackled the game, because obviously that one you could tackle differently, and just reliving that kind of feeling and emotion through that is kind of what inspired a little bit the direction of this topic, because that's kind of where we got to. But yeah, they'd be my two, I'd say. First gen Pokemon and Ocarina of Time.
So man, first gen Pokemon, my god. Yeah, I remember that too. I agree with everything you just said.
Did you guys have a main influence from somebody else, whether it was a friend or a relative, that kind of showed you the games that you ended up loving? Like was there someone that had influence in the games you played?
My parents to a degree, because when we moved, I don't obviously remember this because I was super young, but when I was when we first moved into the family home, I'd have been 2-3 years old, and the first Christmas I remember my dad telling me this story, like they got a Mega Drive. He got a tax rebate he wasn't expecting, and it's like, oh, it's coming up on Christmas time, get a Mega Drive. And I remember, like, my first memory of video games is Sonic the Hedgehog, and taking the controller from him
Hell
like 3 years old, like to play and have a go myself. To the point where to this day we still joke about the fact that I finished Sonic before he did. So like that'd probably be, video games were always in the house. And then as I got older, the Nintendo 64 came out, we had a Nintendo. There's a PlayStation in the house, then there's a PlayStation 2 in the house, and there's GameCubes in the house. So it was very, very close to home for me.
Yeah, the reason I ask is thinking back like to 2008 and what was happening in my life at the time. So I was 16. 16, 17-ish. And so I had always played games with my brother, no matter what the game was. So we played obviously a lot of sports games, but even playing San Andreas or something back in 2004, we would like take turns holding, like playing with the controller. So like I would do all the driving bits, he would do all the shooting bits. In San Andreas, there is a part you can go to one of the towns and play 2-player together. So there was we were always playing the same games. And then around that 2008 time, because my brother was 20 at that point, 19, 20. So he was either out a lot more with his friends or I don't know, doing something else. So I started to play the PlayStation a lot more alone. And so when I'm looking at these games from these years, and then I hit 2008, suddenly it goes from like, maybe 4 or 5 games a year to about 12 to 14 that I've played. So there's this huge jump. And so that was kind of me starting to just play different games and games that were just me and not with my brother.
Yeah, nice. Oh, that's interesting. Like, I guess my situation would probably be a little different because I've got a twin brother. Thankfully, looks nothing like me. Well, he does. He's just shorter.
Good for him or good for you?
Good for me. No, he's blue eyes. He still has all his hair, and he's a bit shorter than me. And it's like there was always a joke of that movie Twins with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito. Man, we got that a lot growing up.
I was thinking of.
Because I just always was taller and bigger and everything. But so like I always had a best friend or whatever around, like to play games with, and we'd share all the games and pass the controller back and forth if we got stuck on a level, or like with Mario, like we'd do a level at a time, just hand it back and forth, and the odd 2-player time when we had a second controller. One of those real Gumby like third-party controllers that like transparent, like like he always had the shit player 2 one because I wouldn't have it any other way. So like we always got to share games and help each other out that way. So I think influence, obviously, we weren't buying the games; it was mum. So that would be the influence. But the games that we did get, I think we kind of helped spur each other on what we actually really liked. Like he went a totally different direction to me when we actually were old enough to start earning our own money. And like he went the PlayStation route, continued on that, and I went Xbox, and it's been like that like ever since. And it's the same with like Marvel and DC. He's all Marvel and I'm DC. So we kind of had this divergent point of when we started getting more independence, we started doing different things, even though we're twins, but they're still the same. But we're still into the same shit, but differently. So
there's a good twin and an evil twin.
Yeah. Debate on who's who, but so he's kind of all Nintendo characters like Mario and Zelda and all that. Whereas I'm still like Sonic and all that kind of shit. So we had the best of both worlds. Eventually, like we were in a house where we had PlayStation, GameCube, and Xbox between us, you know, and so we could just share it around or just grab the console and put it in the next room, whatever, and we'll just hang out in one room together playing another console that we didn't have ourselves or whatever. So that was kind of good. So I guess we didn't really have a direct influence, but it was more like a shared experience on everything. And even now, like he's full on in the Switch and PS4 stuff, and you know, I'm only dabbling in Switch and still on Xbox, but I'm this close away from getting a PS4 at this time of recording. And
You play Animal Crossing as well?
But talk about influence, sounds probably Jamie, but but yeah, look,
Adult
it's very
influence.
interesting, man. Like I never really thought about it that way, on being influenced growing up on what games I played. Like not really with friends or neighbors at the time when we were kids or growing up. I think because we were both around each other all the time, we were kind of influencing each other in that regard, like without even noticing. So yeah, that's my story.
All right, well, we'll move on. And one of the big topics happening at the moment is Final Fantasy VII. People are in love. Chan, you've just been watching it.
Oh my god.
So I just wanted to talk a little bit about with remakes. I think remakes have changed a lot in say the last even 5 years, and I want to know what you guys think of. One, are you interested in Final Fantasy, and do you think it's going to impact on what other publishers or developers do with remakes, and where we're
Would
going
anyone
to
mind if I just jump in right now?
go for it?
Oh my god! All right, let me go. So, Final Fantasy VII Remake. Yeah, I've been watching it. I have a link to this game. Talking about games that you experienced from growing up or being influenced by. Like I never owned this game directly, but I knew friends that had it and would play it constantly. Like we'd walk home from school or go over hang out on the weekends, and like that's all you'd do. You'd sleep over or whatever, and you just watch them play Final Fantasy VII, or just hang out playing Final Fantasy VII. Even if that was grinding, or whatever, it was like it was that game of that time. And yeah, I never played it myself, but I've been in rooms long enough to know the game and can appreciate how iconic it is and what it meant, particularly to my friends. And then growing up older of the internet age and knowing that there's so many other people out there that had the same experiences or similar, it's one of those games. So when Remake was coming out, I was in two minds. Like I'll get to the actual topic, but I think to put it in context as far as remakes goes, there's been a lot of it going on recently with like Resident Evil and stuff. But Final Fantasy VII in particular is a perfect example to me of taking something that's worthy or iconic, and it literally says remake in the title, and it's not like, I'm not going to spoil anything, but it's not a it's not a 1-for-1.
It's a reboot.
Like yeah, like it says remake in the title, literally remaking what Final Fantasy VII is, not just the game. And I think that's what's thrown a lot of people off, rightly or not. But I think the way this game's done it, I had to watch it because I just couldn't wait long enough to get a PS4 or whatever, and I wanted to be sure about it. So there's this guy, Maximilian Dude, like I've mentioned it to you guys already, but I've been following him for a while. Never really watched him live stream anything, but just his clips on YouTube and stuff, and his coverage of things. But he's a massive, massive fan of Final Fantasy VII. It's like his top game of all time, and he's pretty tight with SquareSoft or Square Enix now, and he's met the development team, and he's been following this development since it was announced. And there's a video that he made where he gets really emotional about it, and the trailer like made him kind of cry and stuff like that. And he ran into them at a software event or whatever, gaming event, and they talked about Final Fantasy VII, and got the autograph, and they wanted a photo with him. And they're like, look, we saw your video and we use your video to kind of motivate our team when we're kind of stuck or we don't know what we're doing, that kind of stuff. So he's like really tightly knit. So I've been following this guy's coverage of this remake for the last few years now, and I knew if there's anyone that I had to watch play this game, it'd be him. And the whole time I've been watching him live stream this game, like the first maybe 2 days in particular, man, like it's amazing to see what a remake of a game can do to someone. Like he got so emotional, like certain parts of the game and like the music and story beats and just seeing these characters realize like they've never been before, like not even in the movies or other games that have come out. They've never really hit home for people, but this one is doing it. And his experience, like seeing it through him, has been so interesting. And that's why I've been watching it so much. Not only is the game fucking fantastic, like I wish I was playing it, but it's just as good watching it with him. And it just reminds me of being a kid, like seeing Final Fantasy VII, just hanging out with your mate, just watching them play it. It's kind of that same experience. Very strange, but it's making me want to get a PS4 to play it myself. And I already know what the ending is, and I want to see his reaction to it. That's why I'm watching him, because it means so much to him. And it's not just watching some random play it, it's him. I want to see his reactions to everything in this game. And I've never done that for a creator or someone before in my adult life. So this remake means a lot to a lot of people. And I think there's a difference between rebooting or remastering or like building the same game from the ground up, like Spyro or Crash Bandicoot or whatever. Like this is literally, like Jamie said, it's like a reboot, and the title says a remake of Final Fantasy VII. It's not going to be the same thing that you expect. And I think if you're going to do it, if you're going to remake something, that's probably a good way to do it. Like with the Gears of War Ultimate Edition, they literally just rebuilt the first game from the ground up. And that's fine, because Gears of War 1 is just perfect and it doesn't need to be changed. But it actually had additional content that the console release didn't have that the PC did. So we got something new out of it, and that's cool. And it didn't diverge from what it was. But this, I think, had to be done a different way, because the first game is so iconic, is so important to a lot of people, that I don't think it would have made sense to have just essentially remade the first game with today's technology. And I think as a property, it deserves to have been something else, something new. But my God, I don't know if you guys have seen any of it. It's stunning, man. Like it's just,
Yeah.
you can see the polish, and you can see how long it's been in development for. Like, and it's been through like 2 developers, and some mismanagement, and God knows what else. But my God, have they just pulled it off? It's amazing. It's like the most visually stunning, long ass game. Not a lot of filler from what I've seen. Game that I've seen in a long time. I haven't finished Final Fantasy 15 yet, but I know that's got a bit in it. But I'm so impressed with this game, and if this is what remakes can be, let alone like Resident Evil 2 caliber, like I'll never play that because I'm a sook and I don't like scary games. And Resident Evil 3, like, man, there are a lot of games I would love to see remade, or like I don't know. Look, that's my diatribe on it. I don't have a problem with like remakes of like the same game but new. I'm totally down with that, because there's a lot of games that look absolutely like potatoes back in the day and today that could deserve an actual like new life. With just being the same game. Like I would love a new Blinks the Time Sweeper, as a remake, but better controls and not as janky, but the same game premise is fine. Like I don't want another whole new direction on it. I'll just love a remake like Crash Bandicoot. I'm down with that, but I don't know, boys. Like that's what I think about remakes and what Final Fantasy VII has shown to me, like what it can be. I can't wait to play the damn thing. Like I literally want to buy a PS4 right now so I can play it. That's how bad or how good I think it is.
Do it live on the podcast. Purchase it right now.
Don't tempt me, man. Don't tempt me.
For me, I think it's a case of what do we define it as? That's all the conversation does for me. I have seen some of Final Fantasy VII. It does look brilliant. It looks gorgeous. Like the engine they've built it in, you can tell that it's kind of that needs to stand the test of time. And for part 2 or 3 or however many parts this game gets to be finished, it needs to translate to next gen, etc., etc. But I think there needs to be some kind of industry-wide standardization on what is a reboot, what is a remake, and what is a remaster. Because exactly as you touched on there, so things like Crash and Spyro, they've been rebuilt, so they're remade, right?
Yeah.
Something like Final Fantasy has been remade from the source material, but has added and diverted in ways. So to me, that would be a reboot. You know what I mean? And then something like, Dan, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but Shadow of the Colossus was basically like a texture upres, and they basically just went in and upgraded the assets. The actual source code wasn't changed, was it? Or was it built from the ground up?
No. So that was so I was going to talk about it a little bit later on, but yeah. So Shadow of Colossus was a full-on remake, and because that was the first game that kind of made me think about all this stuff when it came out. Where I'm like, because I played like Last of Us remastered, and I think there was maybe God of War remastered or something.
Yeah, so there's a case in point for you then to finish my point.
Yeah,
God of War 3 remastered for PS4. That's just a texture upgrade. That you can tell. You look at it, it's just textures. There's new textures added. It still feels and controls the same. So I think there's just got to be a bit of like narration as to what each of these things mean, so that when they're announced, it's like, right, what do we expect? You see what I mean? A bit of standardization, but that's kind of my only thought. I think we've had a lot of them. I'm ready for more new stuff than remakes and rebuilds of things. I think if we get a decent one of Final Fantasy VII caliber every 2 or 3 years, great. But yeah, I want to see some new shit. But yeah, sorry, I'll let you carry on with your point.
Yeah, well, my point was just going to be, I think you're going to see less and less remasters and more remakes as we go along. Following the success of, like, Capcom is going to almost make a business model of doing this with their properties. Obviously with Resident Evil, but I think there was talk about there was another property they had that they were going to look at doing it with as well. I don't know if it's true. There was that rumor a few weeks ago about PlayStation making an Until Dawn-esque game with Konami, with the Silent Hill or something, with the Silent Hill game or something.
Oh, yeah, I did hear about just rebooting Silent Hill or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you're going to see more of these remakes, and you'll get less of the remasters, which is just the texture upgrades, because with the new consoles, they're going to basically come with it. So there's not going to be a need to sell a remaster. You either remake an old game, or just do something completely new. But I think Xbox also want to dabble in that as well a little bit. They obviously, like you mentioned, Gears before, like totally doing the first Gears, but they also did that obviously with Halo, with the first one.
Yeah, the Master Chief Collection and the anniversary version of Halo 1, and then the anniversary version of Halo 2. Anniversary Halo 2, holy shit. Man, that's just so good. Like, it just proves Halo 2 is just still such a solid game, but the CG cutscenes is just fuck. It holds up, man. The gameplay alone holds up, but the amount of polish Halo 2 Anniversary had was just like, yeah, that's a good one, Dan. Holy shit, I forgot about that.
Give us a CG version of Halo with just whatever the hell. Like, just give us a full CG version of that. Like, those cutscenes are still some of the best I've ever seen.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so speaking about the future, to round off this podcast, we're going to talk about the sequels that we want to see, the ones that would just get us so excited. Chunt, you look like you're ready. I'm gonna start with you on this one again.
Right on. All right. Look, I don't know if you guys played Crimson Skies on Xbox, the original one. It's like a arcadey kind of steampunk shooter type game. It's like dogfights in planes and shit. It was really good, man. That was another one we used to do like LAN parties for, and it was pretty popular when it came out. I'd love to see a sequel to that, because you can play the first one on Xbox One now. So I mean, it'd be pretty stupid to remake it or whatever. And it still kind of looks all right. Like, it's got X enhanced treatment on it, So it just looks excellent, even today for an old game. So I'd love to see a sequel to that. Like I'd be down for another dogfight sim like that, an arcade type. Like I don't want like a legit simulator like Ace Combat. I don't have time for it. So that'd be one. And it could be like bringing some old IPs back. Like I mentioned Blink's Time Sweeper like as a remake, but it did have a sequel, but it wasn't near as good. Like I know Blinks didn't really hit it off for a lot of people, but man, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Janky as hell, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, modern Sonic's been janky as hell for years, so it's nothing out of the ordinary. But that would be another game I'd enjoy. So you can play that through the digital store as well. So there's all these old Xbox games, IPs, even though they don't have the Blinks IP anymore, and I would buy it if I had the money and the know how to buy it. But yeah, I think those two, it'd be something different because we already know that. Well, we don't know. It's not really official yet, but it may as well be that we're getting another Perfect Dark. Whether or not, I don't know if that's going to be a sequel to Perfect Dark Zero or not, or if it's just going to be a complete new reboot or whatever. But I'd be down for that. Like I think in this era of political things and whatnot, and social needs or social norms, having another leading lady at the forefront, like Lara Croft, Joanna Dark was like that for a lot of people, and she's a good character. Like the first Perfect Dark on 64 was really good. Perfect Dark Zero, it's all right. It wasn't as good, but
left a lot to be desired. Let's be honest.
Yeah. But it was still like, I remember playing that. That was one of my first games on the 360 at the day. And even at the time, I was like, yeah, this is really cool. I really loved her hair too. God, it's a very hot haircut. But even as a character, I was like, yeah, I can see the appeal, and I think it'd be good. Like Xbox, like granted, they need like more IPs and stuff at the forefront, and I think they're holding all this kind of stuff pretty close to the chest and coming out swinging on the Series X. So if the future we're looking for is potentially more of the old Xbox and 360 era IPs being brought back for either sequels or remakes, I'd be totally down for that. And even just another, like they don't own Splinter Cell. Like Splinter Cell's been pretty closely tied to Xbox, but it's never been, it's never been an IP of Xbox. Besides, like, I think there was one exclusive game on the original console. But if they wanted to take Perfect Dark Zero as their Splinter Cell, I'd be down for that, man. Like, I think that would be very suited because, in this era of every protagonist is male, and Lara Croft is kind of, hit back on the scene in a big way. I think, there's room for that. And I know a lot of people out there are just really dumb and they have a problem with playing a main game as a female, which is just dumb. But I'd be totally down for Perfect Dark coming back as like a Splinter Cell-esque rather than another first-person shooter. Like Xbox has a lot of those already, and it need another one. I think that's what I'd like to see the most. I think if I really had to go back, because I've already got my Gears and Halos and my Forza sequels coming out and Fables coming out again. And Crimson Skies and Jade Empire and Blinks, I never see that happening. Tower Fang was another exclusive that I never see coming back on the original console. Like I'm trying to think of like older original Xbox titles that I'd love to see brought back, but I know I never will, because most of the 360 stuff is still around. So I'd like to go back further and bring back older stuff that fans like me or long-time players would like to see come back. But yeah, I think if there was any kind of realistic opportunities, those are the ones that I'd probably look forward to, I think.
Jamie?
Yeah, I think sequel-wise, surprisingly, the majority of mine would be on the PlayStation, to be honest. I'm definitely ready for more Horizon. I think we touched on that last week. I think that's a sequel that is a system seller and is probably coming. Probably before the end of this year if everything still pans out all right. And I'd also quite like to see a sequel to Fable, which again is something else that's kind of an open secret. Again, I think they're going from, if rumor serves correct, they're going along the lines of, rather than it being a sequel, it will be a reboot. So kind of a sequel, kind of a reboot, which I'm all for. Just have to, again, it's kind of, I've been hearkening again earlier in this podcast, but just thinking recently about games that have actually been fun to play and that serve as a memory, and why you want more of that. So I want the Breath of the Wild 2 sequel, which Nintendo have announced. When it comes, who knows? But you know, these things that you have such a connection to are the ones that you want to see sequels for. But I think that, again, yeah, as much as I do want these sequels, I want something new. I want someone to come out and go, here's this experience you didn't know existed, and it's absolutely fucking brilliant. Have at it. And just let us have it. Destiny, I'm obviously ready for a sequel for. I've completely fallen off the wagon there. Like, I've just lost all motivation to even log on. It needs something. It needs a shot in the arm. And I think a sequel is that. We're probably going to get another year of expansions, but I'm ready for whatever the big story beat is going to be. I want more of that story. Yeah, I think if I was really thinking about what's impressed me so much, a Horizon sequel, Breath of the Wild sequel, and a reboot of Fable is, you've got me happy, and I think I'm going to get everything that I want. So I don't have anything really to kind of push the agenda. I think I'm going to get all three of those.
Nice.
So I had to really think about the sequels, because I didn't want to go for the obvious, you know, Horizon 2, Spider-Man 2, God of War 2. We all know that they're pretty much coming, so I'm kind of trying to do this as a wish. And I was thinking through it, knowing the Sony catalog as I did, and I was trying to think about older games, and I'm like, which ones can kind of follow on. You know, I think Order 1886 could get a sequel if they wanted to. I just don't. No one just knows how well that game did, or if it did do well, or just nobody knows. So I was thinking back, and when I think of the exclusives PlayStation has from their own first party, they tend to cover. If you have like an 8-year-old, you give them Ratchet and Clank or Knack or something. If you have a teen, if you have a teenager, you give them Uncharted or Horizon. If you're a bit older, you can have your Bloodborns or your Last of Us, right? Like, they kind of try and cover all these demographics. But most of them are made up of, this is a third-person action game, go. The one thing that they've always had, but they've never been able to just get a big following, is in your first-person shooters, right? You had Killzone,
strong.
but Guerrilla's onto Horizon now, and that's kind of where I want them to stay. But recently, purchasing Insomniac and having Spider-Man and Ratchet and Clank and Sunset Overdrive, I guess, they also made Resistance back in the day. First Resistance came out in 2007. The sequel was in 2009, and the third one was in 2011. The third one is criminally underrated, and to be honest, I think it probably did sell the least of all of them. But it was so creative, that game, being set in the 40s, and with the weapons were insane, like playing with the augers and having a mixture between real life 1940s weapons and alien tech weapons. It was really, really. I played the first Resistance so many times with my brother. This was just before he went off and started hanging out with friends more, so we played that over and over again. And I think, even if it's not a success like your Uncharted or your Horizons, I think they should always keep in mind to have a first-person shooter on the roster like that. And with the first-person shooters, you can cater, you still have an audience there that wants to play them, but you just got to present it in the right way. And so I would see a sequel to Resistance. Now, whether they want to do it like a God of War, where it is a sequel / reboot or whatever, I think would be a really smart idea to sort of do that with the Resistance franchise. And now that you have Insomniac that have 3 different studios, which I think one of those studios is currently making Ratchet and Clank, the sequel, I reckon. But after they're done with that, make a Resistance game with that group. Then you have the other group making Spider-Man, and then the smaller group, which I think makes VR, like small VR games and stuff like that. Like, I reckon that is what you need to do, because it's great that you have these awesome third-person action games, and you have the variety in terms of the content and appealing to different ages, but you also need the variety in the gameplay, and I think that's what they need to do.
That's true. I didn't even consider that. Like, besides Killzone, and that was a launch PS4 title. Hey, like they really haven't had a first-person shooter.
They got into bed with Activision, didn't they? And that meant they had the marketing deals and everything for Call of Duty. That was the place to play Call of Duty. And to be honest, in terms of shooters, this generation's not been overly focused on first-person shooters. I mean, you've had your Call of Duties. Overwatch is kind of a first-person shooter, tactical shooter. There's not really been any. Like Titanfall came out on both. Battlefield keeps coming out everywhere. Like, I think the third parties have nailed the shooter genre. I see what you're saying, Dan. Like, absolutely, the variety and types of games is something that Sony definitely need to think about, because everything is a third-person action RPG or third-person story-driven game. But yeah, shooters, I'm not sure, because the third parties are so good. What do you make? Unless you're gonna combat Halo, which I don't even think Halo can combat Halo at this stage. Like, I mean, old school Halo. We'll see, but yeah, it's they're so strong everywhere else. So strong third party wise.
Yeah, I just think there's something that they can do with a first person shooter that Sony can allow them to do, because apart from like Call of Duty, your Destinies, like the real big ones that have these massive budgets, you also don't see a huge amount of like the middle ground, like the AA shooters, like you used to, like when you used to get Spec Ops
Sniper
back in the day, the first Rage, even, which I know is Bethesda, but or was it Bethesda back then? Anyway, but you know what I mean. Like, I feel like there's some type of combination that they can do there, and knowing Sony basically tells to have emphasis on story in their games. I think Resistance is a prime candidate to not only show off something that's kind of familiar to people, but also new, and you can do something new with it, and it can show off all the weird shit that the control can do and stuff like that, which Killzone, I think, went like way into it back then. Like, you used to have, like, I think it was like 8 different weapon segments because you had the D-pad that you could choose up, down, left, or right, but then the touchpad up, down, left, or right, and you could combine that with the L1 and R1 buttons or something. I remember playing it at launch, and I was just like, "This is a lot to take in."
Funnily enough, this is a side tangent. Like, we didn't talk about what we've been playing. Let's save it for the end, actually. But I played a bit of Shadowfall this last week, and I have some thoughts. But sorry, continue.
Yeah, well, I was just finishing up, so I think mine's sort of a wish list, but it's also kind of a wish in terms of as a business, PlayStation just needs to keep diversifying. Like, I think they've done a good job in terms of trying to get everybody to have a game. So if you're not into Uncharted, there's something else for you, or whatever it is.
We got Ghost of Tsushima coming out. That's another kind of third-person action game, but fuck, it looks just God.
Like, that's what I'm saying. The games are great, but like, it'd be cool to see more great games in different ways. That's all.
That's a PS4 game, right?
Yeah.
Tsushima,
oh boy. Well, just put that one on the list then. I thought that was PS5. I totally forgot.
Nah. They haven't announced any PS5 stuff.
Yeah, well, it's probably going to
God4.
happen. That PS4 purchase is probably going to happen.
So Dan,
Right.
what have you played this week?
So play. This will be quick. I play a little bit more 2K. I switched from. So I've been playing just a lot of my league recently. So just I tend to either create myself and put myself on a team, or create a whole team of like one time I created just comic book characters as players, and then played basketball with them all.
You had a lot of time on your hands that week, right?
Yeah, yeah. It doesn't take too long. Like just get them rough. But
That's
I went
awesome.
back into the my career mode last night, and which is where you play locked as a individual player. It's I can't remember what it's called in FIFA, Jamie.
Yeah, it's a career mode. Yeah, career mode.
Yeah, and so I've just been getting back into that, and because the game always seems to take longer when you play the career mode. It doesn't seem like the time passes as much, probably because you're waiting a lot of the time, because you're waiting for the ball to come near you or get passed to you or whatever it is. But last night I just got in a groove and I've just been leveling up my guy. But that's been about it. Still waiting for that inspiration to play something new.
How'd you get on with Ori? You not been back to it?
No, not since last time. But Gears is downloaded, so there's that.
Where are we up to now, Chump? Where does he need to catch us up to? Are we?
Oh man! Oh, we're halfway through. Oh no, we actually finished the first open world exploration.
We finished chapter 2, right? We just started chapter 3.
Yeah. So
get to chapter 3, Dan.
How long does that take?
This chapter's good. This one we're up to it's better than the snow chapter that we were just exploring around. Man, we smashed through that. We fucking smashed through that. Like saying to Jamie when we were playing it, that took me ages because I was searching for every nook and cranny that I could find. I was doing all the optional quests, but we just smashed through it because Jamie's like, "Nah, I just want to do the story mode," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm down just to the story as well." And 2-player as well, and it was on easy. And there's a berserker queen type boss that when I played my first playthrough, I did it on normal, and it was a bitch. And it's only you, like it's you trying to fight this thing, and you die so easy, and it's a lot tougher. And man, we fucking nailed it. That level rage. I did actually rage quit on that because I just couldn't get it because it was just super tough, and I couldn't believe it. I put the controller down. Like when we finished it with Jamie, I put the controller down. I'm like, "What? No."
But to answer your question, Dan, it took about we're probably 4 hours total, 4 hours.
Yeah, we haven't been playing it for much total. Hey, like most of the mucking around that we've been doing is actually trying to get the games to work.
Audio
been a bit of a dick, but yeah. So
yeah, I'll see if I can catch you guys.
Yeah, no, I mean, you can jump in. I mean, if you haven't played anything since 2 or whatever, then there's no context whatsoever, but the gameplay is still there. But the problem is you'll be playing as Jack, the little robot dudes flying around behind us.
He won't be playing as Jack when we're out of that chapter.
True, I think so, yeah.
When we've got a full squad again, because surely it's not just Kate and Del for the whole game.
No, this chapter will have... I think Baird and Marcus will be around at some point.
Yeah.
So
if there's another character, you won't just play as a robot. But yeah, definitely got to do that. Chunt, have you played out else this week other than the couple of hours of Gears?
Animal Crossing. Man, I sent that clip to you guys yesterday. What?
You can't play live. You just live it.
Well, yeah, true. But this game, man, I've said it for like the last few weeks now. It has me by the nuts. Like I have my Switch with me at all times, even between like during my breaks at work. I'm just, I'll just do this, and straight after work, I'm like, I'll go do my resource route and just go around, hack everything, and get my wood and my rocks, and go to another island, just do the whole loop. And I've just built like massive, like these brick or stone or whatever, like Japanese Zen walls around my plot of land that I've allocated for myself. And then there's a river, and then there's another bit of land that I've sectioned off with this wall. Like it costs a lot of resources. Like it's like stone and iron and clay. Like it's like 3 of each every time you create one. So I just pulled out all my resources out of my storage and just kept pushing the button for like a good like 10 minutes or whatever, and just kept making this stuff. I've still got heaps left over just to make this. It's like a really expensive wall, and I really like it. And it's the one I wanted to make the whole time. As soon as I unlocked that wall type, I was like, all right, that's my wall. I'm going to put that everywhere. And that's what I'm doing now. And I'm in this game, and I've built like 3 or 4 houses for new people on my island already, and I'm trying to get that the KK dog character, the musician thing that you're trying to entice this musician to your island to have a festival or whatever.
Build street lamps apparently is the way to do that. Like put some street lamps around.
I've just spent all my Nook points. So I've got like 400 Nook points. So I had like 10 or 15,000. So I'm trying to get all these items for my island, because you need to start decorating it or making it more inviting for newcomers and to entice this person. So I haven't been going to any mystery islands. All I've been doing is just harvesting my island and using my Nook points to try and decorate it out. Like I got 5 things. When I boot the game up today, I got like 5 things probably waiting for me in my mailbox for like items to put around the main city area, like a snack machine and a vending machine and a power pole and a light post and like another kind of fountain thing. So I'm going spastic on it. Man, for years I used to scoff at this game. Like for years, I was like, "What's this shit? Why do people play this game?" And then here I am, like just it's all I'm playing. Like literally, even when like Maximilian is there on streaming Final Fantasy 7, I'm there with the Animal Crossing in hand, just watching him and like doing my route and stuff. And
it's the moral of the story is, mate, I don't have bad ideas. When I tell you should probably invest in something, it's usually good.
I know.
Jamie, what about you?
Yeah, I've played some more Animal Crossing, not as much as Chunt. You've far overtaken me now. I can't remember what the last thing I did, but I built my campsite. I can't remember what the next thing I've got to do is. I need to build something else, or make a wardrobe or something. I've got bits to do, but I want to actually put some time into it later this evening. I've been playing more Spider-Man. I'm now 50% through the story, which is pretty good. So 50% through the main campaign. I'm leaving like the actual side missions until I've done the main bit now, because I went just wild when I first started it and started doing all the collectibles. But then new collectibles keep opening up, and it's like, all right,
yeah,
I see where this
they
is
keep
going.
coming for a little bit.
Yeah, so I've got a few others. I love it. I can't wait to have a PlayStation in the house to finish it. I'm purposefully not going to carry it on PlayStation now, just because I may as well experience it properly since I've got one coming. Yeah, Animal Crossing, that Gears. So we played some Gears. I actually downloaded and installed Warzone, Call of Duty Warzone, just 'cause I was like, I fancy playing some Call of Duty for 20 minutes. Played literally 20 minutes and uninstalled it. I was like, I remember why I stopped playing Call of Duty a long time ago. It's toxic and it just hasn't changed. So I was like, nah, I'll go back to, if I want a battle royale, I'll just play Fortnite, because I can win at that. So there's no point in not. And I started back up Pokemon Shield this week. So new Switch means my save didn't carry over from old Switch. Annoying, but I was only maybe 8 or 9 hours in originally anyway, so it is what it is. I started with Sobble this time, gone for a water star, never do that, always fire. So yeah, been around the houses a little bit. I'm just I was really enjoying playing like different types of games. You know, the void that, like, there are weeks when Destiny eats my entire gaming time, and it's been nice this last month or so. Well, 3 weeks now, 3-4 weeks, where it's not taking even 10 minutes. Because I played a few games of Iron Banner when that was last on, and it's back on this week, which means it's been away for 3 weeks, which means so have I. So yeah, it's nice to play some different stuff. I actually booted 2K18 on PlayStation Now the other day, because we've been rewatching One Tree Hill, and I was like, I fancy playing some basketball, and it was on PlayStation Now, and I can't play that game. I don't understand. I'm too used to like FIFA mechanics of pass, shoot, trick, and I expected it to be the same, and it isn't. The button mapping is just wigs me out, and I'm like, nah. Dan, you'll have to give me a crash course in how to do it, because I've got no fucking clue.
Yeah, she's a full simulation, that one.
Yeah, but other than that, yeah, just I played I think I got another half an hour, 40 minutes of Bloodborne. I'm slowly progressing through that again. I think anything PS Now, I'm just gonna leave for the next week. Do you know what I mean? It probably makes sense. Just take a break from it, because I can enjoy it then in its full visual fidelity and have a good time with it. Bunch of free stuff going on PlayStation, which I wouldn't have known about had I not, reinvested. But yeah, Uncharted 4 is free on PlayStation Plus.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty great for people. I'm not the biggest fan, and then obviously they made the Nathan Drake collection free for all PlayStation players, irrespective of your PS Plus membership, along with Journey. Like Journey, the whole Nathan Drake collection, and Uncharted 4 for nothing. Like, it's really fantastic.
So can I redeem that? I still have a PSN account.
You can redeem the Nathan Drake collection, but you'd need PS Plus to get Uncharted 4.
Uncharted, yeah. Oh, sweet. I might.
But as you said, Chunt, when you were looking at games before, it's only like it's $18 or something to buy Uncharted 4. So
yeah.
Or you can spend the $6 or $7 for a month of PlayStation Plus and just download it.
Yeah. Oh my god.
But that's the thing that I like. So Dan, this is just me asking you questions now, because we're not recording a podcast or anything. PlayStation Now on PlayStation 4, you can download the games. You don't have to play a streamed version.
I'm not sure. I don't even have that downloaded on my PS4. Like, I've actually never tried it.
You're a terrible use of resource.
They've already got my money.
True.
So
I will Google it.
It's actually it's kind of weird, because I see it like, the reason why I don't play it is because I'm already playing their games. So like, I don't need your service to play your games. I'm already doing that, because I feel like PS Now is for guys like you guys, where you just want the experience of playing one game and that's it. Like, kind of like how I'm probably going to use Game Pass. Whereas I just want to play a game. But I can't. I don't want to buy a full console or anything.
But that's
I'm
the
pretty
point.
sure that I heard PS Now changed that. Like, I'm pretty sure you can download the games
like on the console. But that's the point I was gonna make to you, mate. Was the whole, if you want to play an exclusive Horizon or a God of War or something, it seems like they're cycling in and out their exclusives every couple of months. So it's like, right, so you pay, I don't know what it is in Australia. Is it $8-9 a month for PS Now?
Yeah, something like that.
So like now, like rather than buying Spider-Man for $30-40 or whatever, you do a month of PlayStation Now, 2 months of PlayStation Now, you finish it during that period of time, and it's more cost effective. That's what I like about the service. What I don't like about it is obviously playing it at a lower visual clarity on PC, but I won't have that problem in a week or two. So I'll just see if Chunt's there with me. I can see by his face that he will be.
He's just staring. Jamie, you mentioned Killzone before.
Yes, Killzone. So I played the first level, it's no spoilers, it's right at the start, the whole kid gets killed and then you are the kid, and first mission. It runs awful. That's the point I was going to make. I know, was it last week we were talking about kind of the viability of these streaming platforms, and I mentioned how PS Now got a lot better. First person shooters are still unplayable, but it's in PS Now, so I'll happily go back to that, full whack, because apparently the campaign is very good, and I think you've told me that as well. Yeah,
I didn't finish it, but one of the selling points of it was basically you get dropped into this world, and there are sort of 3 main mission points, and you can just do the game in whatever order you want. So it's not following like a linear structure per se.
Yeah, no, I'm keen to give it the benefit of the doubt. There's a lot of good stuff on the PlayStation Now service. I don't think it's spoke about very much at all, and it should be. Like, there's like 800 games on there. That's a lot.
Even I didn't know that.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
What have you played? You
well,
haven't told us. Yeah. Oh, did you tell us? Yeah, you did. That
Yeah,
was like half an hour ago.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up. Thanks for joining me, boys, and thanks for everybody watching. Make sure you comment below. We love replying to the comments, or tweet us at our tags below us, and all the social media stuff, which I can't read from here. But yeah, thanks for joining us, and we'll be back on again next week. And my name's Daniel.
I'm Chant. That's me.
And then we have Jamie.
And I'm Batman.
Thanks for joining me, boys.
Oh my god.